Stick around following every noon Vikings game this season for Vikings Overtime, hosted by Paul Meat Sauce Lambert, presented by Park Chrysler Jeep in Burnsville. Catch them all right here on KFAN and the free iHeartRadio app.
What's going on there, Peter? How you been?
Oh, I've been good. How are you?
Excellent. Enjoyed some downtime and watching a bunch of games over the weekend and stuff like that. When you get the opportunity to chill on a Sunday and not call a game and fly and bus rides and all that, do you watch games? Like, did you happen to catch the Lions dismantling of the Cowboys?
Did not catch much of it. Just some of the highlights. I was en route from Chicago to back up here on Sunday, so that just paid a little bit of attention.
Yep.
But again, it's the bye week, man. You just got to get a little bit of time away.
Amen.
I'll be digging into it today for sure.
Aiden Hutchinson broke his tibia, so that's the nasty of all nasty ever to get nasty, and it was one of those bits like I'm not saying it was as gruesome as Joe Theismann or maybe E.J. Henderson 2009, Lewis Seen a couple of years ago. But the camera, they would not go back and show it because they wouldn't show the replay. Yeah. You could see, you could absolutely tell something broke. But no Aiden Hutchinson. What do you think about that quick twitch with the Lions and the Vikings this weekend?
Well, I mean, Aiden Hutchinson is obviously a big part of what they do, leading the league in pressures and sacks and a number of other areas. So they're losing a key playmaker on defense, and going into this, or at least before the loss of Aiden Hutchinson, they had some concern, I think, with Carlton Davis and Terrion Arnold at cornerback and how well they could hold up, and nothing helps DBs and corners more than a good pass rush. So losing Aiden Hutchinson is going to put more pressure, I think, on the rest of that secondary, and that's where I hope the Vikings are able to make some hay is by protecting Darnold, letting him do his thing, and getting down the field on some of these guys.
This marathon provided by FVP batteries and FVP parts. Reach for what works. Their offensive coordinator Ben Johnson versus Vikings defensive coordinator Brian Flores. That's a big time heavyweight fight there, isn't it?
It is. I mean, I think Johnson's done just a fantastic job over the last couple of years with his offense and the balance they have. And when I look at teams and talk about balance, I look at Detroit. I think is a great example offensively of that balance. I mean, they're obviously running the ball so well. Between David Montgomery and Jahmyr Gibbs, they can beat you on the ground, and if you do stop the run, well, they can still beat you after the pass. And even in their passing game, they're a lot of run after the catch, right? A lot of yards after the catch. So tackling is going to be extremely important. We've done so well against the run thus far this year. This will be a true test with this group because Detroit's going to be on the road. The crowd noise is going to be there. I'm glad that we're playing this game in Minneapolis instead of Detroit, just because of that. Because of the 2 road games in a row for Detroit, crowd noise. I think all that is going to help. But they're definitely going to try to test the run. No question about it. Johnson does a fantastic job with the players that he has, and you got to find a way to get pressure on Goff. That's the only way to get him off his game.
Yeah, you mentioned with Aaron Glenn's defense, with or without Hutchinson, the way they rush and how it meshes with their pass coverage. That nice safety who was a corner last year, I think he's in his 2nd or 3rd year out of NC State. I know you loved him his rookie year, Brian Branch. Well, they depth chart him as a safety, and he's kind of their nickel. They'll use 4 corners with Amika Robertson along with Arnold and Carlton Davis. But Branch, man, he's really taken off. Kirby Joseph, he can be quite intimidating. He's a good player too. So I feel you with the way things are meshing with them defensively. But how about that same thing with the Minnesota Vikings? They have at least 1 pick from every player in the secondary, and 13 of the 20 sacks are from the edge guys, and that's generally speaking where most are supposed to come from. That's just a perfect formula through 5.
It is, and even again, you go back to balance, right? And it's one of those things where you look at this defense, and who's the MVP of the defense? It's like, well, you've got a number of different candidates. So in that respect, if you think about an offensive coordinator, where do you begin? Right? Where do you begin? And you have to slow down Jonathan Grenard. I still think he's good enough to ruin a day, but you have so many other options defensively, right? And that's where the problems start, right? That's the balance that I'm talking about. It's how the Lions are offensively. You want to get in there and just, hunker down and stop the run. Good luck with that, because then they're going to be able to get some of their speedy receivers, behind you. Yeah. And then that's a problem. So with us defensively, it's so, I mean, how do you pick an MVP when Camus Grugier-Hill has 2 interceptions? It's like, right? Yeah. It's been spread out, and week in and week out, there's somebody different stepping up and making a play, and that reminds me of '98, especially offensively, where 1 week it would be Chris, 1 week it'd be Randy, 1 week it'd be Jake, 1 week it'd be Robert, one week it'd be Leroy. Yeah. And with the tremendous offensive line, so you defensively, I think it's going to be a lot harder for offenses to quote unquote figure us out, or do the old "Where's Waldo" with our defense, because we're just so flexible across the board, and our guys can do so much.
Pete Bercich, analyst for the KFAN Minnesota Vikings Radio Network. We're back together again this Sunday at noon, 10 o'clock for the pregame on FM 100.3 KFAN. No word on Aaron Jones. If it were a heaven or hell equation, and you got to be right, I would guess he plays, but really no official word on him yet. Now, from the time he went down first half of the game against the Jets, the Tottenham Hotspur game, to winning the game in totality, why is he so? I mean, I know he's good, but why is he so key?
I think first of all, he's so key because he could carry an entire playbook. What do I mean by that? I mean, base downs, first down, second down, into third down, when you need him for protection. So he's a veteran. You can put him in there at any time, and he's going to know what to do. There are a lot of running backs that can't get put into games in certain scenarios, in certain personnel groups, certain whatevers, because they just don't know what they're doing. Right. And that's a huge, even though they may not be part of the pass route, but from a protection standpoint, they, number one, have to know what they're doing, and number two, be able to execute what they're doing, which is why C.J. Ham comes in so much on third downs, because he's as good, he's a veteran. He knows everything. He's very, very good at protection. So from a protection standpoint, he might be the guy on third down. But with Aaron Jones, he can do all of that. And then not just that, but he's a threat. If you hand him the ball, he can make things happen. Even if a play is not blocked up 100%, or you miss something somewhere. I go back to the first rushing touchdown of the year against the Giants with Nick McLeod. They had the angle. They had a safety shoot the gap. They had a corner that had leverage, and he just bounced that thing outside and still scored a touchdown. Defensively, there's nothing you could do to stop that. It's just your guy, not our guy, being better than their guy, and he does that. You get him one-on-one with anybody. Very rarely do you see him bring him down. So it's that whole, I guess it's that whole combination. And, we talked about it before, but when he was not in the game, and, at least you can game plan around that now if you know that he's going to be questionable, and you can work around that. But once he came out of that game, our offense changed. And it was just the execution, and then really the execution side of it. And I was amazed at how much this offense depends on Aaron Jones to look the way it has the first 4 or 5 weeks, first 4 weeks of the season. He's such an integral part of this offense. People devalue the running back. Well, let me tell you this: Aaron Jones is a huge, huge part of what we've been able to do on offense for us to keep balance on offense. And we need him. We need him healthy. as quickly as possible. Ty Chandler's doing a great job. He has to continue to broaden what he can do. And then obviously Myles Gaskin if you need him, but CJ Ham being part of it. So it's an all hands on deck to replace one guy. And I think that's as big of a compliment as you can pay one person.
Elite answer.
Hardcore football.
Damn.
The analyst.
Okay, so with Jones down, it's and I'm going to fly through this. Just clip on me if you think I'm wrong. Jones is down. We're going to make you show us you can run. Okay. And until you show us you can run like that other guy, 33, we're going to rush 4 and we're going to drop 7. And in doing so, we are going to attempt to confuse your quarterback if he is confusable, and at times of his career he has been. So Sam and a quality 4-man rush, can he become confused?
I don't know. I think the difference is just schematically from a personnel standpoint. Okay, so Detroit is kind of a 4-3 bit, right? So could they go nickel and bring in a DB if they're not afraid of the run? That way you have a defensive back in the game instead of another linebacker, right? Without the threat of Aaron Jones, you could change your personnel that way. You could play more nickel than you would base in certain situations. That's going to help with the passing game. Schematically, you can play a little bit more too deep. And if you're playing any type of too deep shell, that gives you much more ability and leverage in ways that you can slow down or try to slow down Justin Jefferson and Jordan Addison, right? And so I think that's where that flexibility comes in. It makes life a little bit easier defensively for the Detroit Lions without Aaron Jones in there.
Right.
So, again, it's kind of like picking your poison. Offensively, you could say, all right, you want to play too deep and, we're just going to hand it off to, Aaron, to Aaron Jones and let him get 5, 6, 7, 8 yards a clip. And then when you guys start biting on some of those things, then we're going to hit you with the play action and hit you with those deep over routes that you love to talk about with a wide receiver on a safety. If you have 3 deep and you clear with one receiver and run the other guy on a 25-yard deep over route, somebody's got to get him. And it's probably not going to be the corner because he's outside shade on the far side of the field. So a safety has to pick him up. That's the easiest way to get that matchup that you love and we see and we all love to see. But it's a lot harder to do when you have, extra DBs playing deep. And that's the game. I mean, that's kind of the game in a nutshell that we're going to see in Detroit. Detroit has done a decent job of that. You remember, I can't remember how long ago it was, but we had heavy personnel in there and they had one guy on Justin Jefferson. He was one-on-one. I think it was Kendall Vilder, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
And before the play, it's like, there we go, throw it deep. You're not going to cover him with one. You're not going to cover him with one guy,
right?
And that's the personnel. That's the personnel. You can force people into tipping their hat in a personnel standpoint, and if you get it, you make them pay. It's just harder to do when you don't have all your weapons on offense.
Amen. A couple more here for Pete Bercich, analyst, Vikings Radio Network, at Pete Bercich via the X Machine for hardcore football takes. Now, defensively, the bounce back off the second half at Lambeau. I mean, the second half at Lambeau didn't look anything defensively like what we've seen all year. So what's the bounce back? Well, they were sterling versus the New York Jets, don't you think?
Yes, I mean the Jets. The Jets had been running the football pretty well, and I figured that they would try to hit that running game and stay on it. You know what I mean? And that was a little bit of it that surprised me. I mean, because Breece Hall and Braylon Allen are very good running backs, but we got up on them quickly, right? And that will take a team out of their running game. And so that's one way of taking Detroit's running game off the table too, is if you can get up on them, 2 or 3 scores early. And it's amazing that we're talking this way. Talk about a difference a year makes. You know what I mean? We're not used to being up 3-4 scores on a team and then just letting that thing play out. But we were able to do that. And Rodgers obviously just isn't the same guy. Doesn't have the same weapons, and he just can't throw the ball 45, 50 times a game and have success doing so. I just don't think he's capable of doing that anymore. and we came up big, when we needed it. So, and that again goes to your point, Stephon Gilmore, jamming the receiver, keeping his eyes on the quarterback, and being in perfect position and making a play on a football. And it's one guy here or one guy there. And a year ago, it always seemed that one guy was breaking down here. You remember the touchdown at the end of the game against Denver, right? When we just can't, we can't cover a 6'4" wide receiver. Or it's just the complete opposite in that regard from a year ago. We'd have a breakdown at a key moment, whereas this year they're coming up big and making plays. So it's not a huge tidal wave shift, really. That's the NFL, man. These little bitty things make all the difference in the world.
Lastly, Dallas Turner has yet to take off. Now, he's playing like half the game, something like that, and he's 21 years of age. But there's still found gold in Dallas Turner once he figures some things out, right?
I totally agree. I've seen him. You see him flash with the burst and the speed and everything else every once in a while. I mean, let's face it. When you're playing behind a Grenard or a Van Ginkel, it's going to be hard to raise eyebrows, right? And you know what I'm saying? But he's watching the guys in front of him do their things. Pat Jones, that group, that's a really well-coached group, number one. Number two, these guys are all playing at a high level. So the bar has been, this isn't a terrible defense where he's just out there being able to run things down, right, and showing his athleticism. That's what you don't want. You want him to be in this position where the bar is set unbelievably high with the guys in front of him. And if he wants to play, he's got to get to that level. And so week in and week out, hopefully he's working that way. Now, the knee, you wonder how much that's bugging him. Some guys they have to find a way to get used to playing nicked up, not at 100%. There's guys that have been around for a long time know how to deal with that and get better and practice and still improve, but at the same time not be 100%. So he's learning what it's like to be a pro. And I'm not worried about that kid one bit. In fact, you keep him in the back of your mind because you wonder week 13, 14, 15, 16, how's this team going to look, right? Who's ready to take over? And that's, one of the things I think too, with Ty Chandler is I hope because he's behind Aaron Jones that he continues to improve. So we just got to get some of these guys, these younger guys to keep improving, and we'll maintain this depth and hopefully maintain this momentum all the way into December, because that's when you want to be, winning 5 games in a row, the month of December. And
analyst, last one, one of many things that are kind of under the radar, but I'm really enjoying this year, Harrison Smith. All right. He's so rejuvenated. I mean, he jumps around on the sideline and in the locker room after a victory like he's one of these kids with whom he's playing. I mean, I can't recall Harrison Smith this fired up and rejuvenated in the last X amount of years. What do you think?
Yeah, I do think that his role and Cam Bynum's role, our safeties, are enjoying this much more than they did a year ago. If you remember a year ago in the first 6-7 games of the year, Cam Bynum must have made 15, 20 tackles where he was just coming from 7, 8, 9, 10 yards off the ball and making a tackle. And if he doesn't make that tackle, he's zero blitz. If he doesn't make that tackle, it's a touchdown.
Yeah.
There was so much pressure put on the safeties because we had so many people on the line of scrimmage. We're not playing that way this year. We're not having to pressure as much in that regard. And so Bynum and Harrison Smith are able to play center field. They're able to play the position the way he's used to it being played, where he can sit back there, diagnose, go make things happen. We've seen Bynum, Johnny on the spot on a couple of plays too. So I think for both of those guys, they're getting more of that. And, oh, by the way, they're obviously still blitzing and having fun at the line of scrimmage and doing those things. So I would have to agree with you on that. And hopefully we'll get a chance to sit down with Harrison Smith this week for Vikings podcast and just, say, hey, are you having fun with this year? It's a little bit different. And it appears he's enjoying his twilight years, let's just say, in the NFL.
All right. See you this week, my brother. Have a good day.
Sounds good, man. All right. See you, Paul. Bye.
Pete Bercich, analyst for the Vikings Radio Network. Vikings and Lions, Sunday at noon, right here on FM 100.3, KFAN, pregame at 10. Maxwell Fuller now with some money to give away.
The Fan and two men and a junk truck want to give you a shot to put $1,000 in your hand with our national cash contest. Enter the keyword money at KFAN.com now for your shot at winning. That's keyword money. Enter it now at KFAN.com.
How you been, McTockett?
Very well. How about yourself?
Pretty good.
It's been
man.
a while, and I've missed you.
Yeah, I miss you too. We got a lot going on right now. I mean, it's NHL.
Yeah, we do.
NHL season's underway. College football's at a very thick part of the season. Your favorite football team's coming out of the bye. Finchy squad is playing former players in the preseason, and with the Minnesota Wild, I'll just lay it out like this: through the first three. They get 2 at home against Columbus. Then they go 1 point, shootout loss to your Kraken, an overtime loss last night to Winnipeg. At Pat Mick 2626 via Twitter, Pat Mick 2626. What are you seeing through 3?
Well, you know what? As a team, when they're healthy, I'm very, very optimistic. It's just really, really disappointing that the injuries that have happened thus far. And I thought going into the season, if they can just stay healthy, I think it's a playoff team. I've really enjoyed watching them throughout the preseason. And so that was the biggest thing in my head. If this team can stay healthy, and they haven't, the injuries are going to be a problem. That being said, they've got points in all 3 games, and every point is a big point, especially when you look at the end of the season and you're fighting for that last playoff spot. You'll go back to October and say, yeah, we got that point there. Or, you know what, man, we needed to win to win that overtime game. So, if they can get healthy, and I hate to say get healthy, but with Eck and Spurgeon out, I think it's going to be, it'll be fine.
How about this roadie coming up, McTockett? I mean, it's 2.5 weeks. It's 8.
Yeah.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, we got so we have 7 games. Overtime loss to the Peg yesterday at St. Louis. 3 days between. Maybe they come home there. Then you get the Columbus Blue Jackets. Then you get wow, holy cow! I can't remember seeing a trip this long.
Oh, I know. It's 2 games at home, and it makes it difficult because what do we say at the start of every hockey season, and or for any sport in any season? It's important to get off to a good start, and they're going through the juggernaut of this long road trip, and a lot of the games are out east against a very tough Eastern Conference. Never easy to win out there. And that's why I go back to, Eriksson Ek being out and Spurgeon out and, other guys dinged up. You hate to see it. But, I thought last night, Paul, it was going to be a difficult game regardless because it was 19 hours after they had just played a tough game at home. And then to play without Spurgeon and Eck last night. They didn't play a clean game by any stretch of the imagination, but they battled and they hung in there. And unfortunately, the penalty in overtime kind of hurt. But they got a big point on the road, and so I'm looking at the positive side of that.
And reading between the lines here with Eriksson Ek and Spurgeon, I'm guessing here, so we got no intel. But the fact, like Eriksson Ek, correct? I don't believe he made the trip to Winnipeg, where I think Spurgeon did. Now,
no, he did not.
Oh, he didn't. Okay,
he did not.
Well, what I did see was Spurgeon's considered day to day, and that was not said about Eriksson Ek.
I think you got to flip-flop those. Eriksson Ek is expected to be in the lineup in St. Louis tomorrow night.
Yep, I see it here.
And Spurgeon is still being evaluated for that lower body injury, which I don't know. I don't know what it is, but hopefully it's not going to be too long.
Yep.
Regardless, they need both of those guys in the lineup. This isn't a team where, we hear the old, next man up.
Yeah.
There is no next man up when you're losing an Eriksson Ek. No one is going to be in that, in that 2-hole at the center position and do what he does on a nightly basis and what he adds to this team on a nightly basis. And we see with Jared Spurgeon in the lineup that, you're just not going to go in and replace a number 2 or 3 or whatever you want, top 4 defensemen like him and the things that he does. The guy's capable of playing, yes, but at that level, certainly not.
What have you seen from Kaprizov through the first 3?
Last night I was a little concerned, and maybe it was tired, maybe he played a lot of minutes, but the explosiveness in his skating. So I don't know if he's banged up a little bit, but there were times during the game where I thought, bam, he'd break away from a guy or just use that quick step that he has. And he looked a little labored to me last night. Maybe it was just tired from the night before, but he didn't have the jump that he had. His preseason was outstanding. And so I'm going to monitor his skating. Because if he's not, then that there's something amiss. Not saying there is, but it just looked like that to me last night.
And I didn't see Wild Kraken. What was Larson's elbow to Eriksson Ek? I mean, was it just an absolute cheap shot?
I have to be honest with you. I was out of town with the Gopher hockey team, so I did not see that hit. I want to go back and take a look at it, but. I did not see it, so I can't comment.
Yeah, I read a tweet, uncalled for elbow on Eriksson.
And probably,
Then I saw the Sicky tweet or his staff with a Wild PR about Eriksson Ek playing tomorrow night against St. Louis. Seems like it's most likely day to day for a Spurgeon. Lastly, here, Motzko's squad they beat St. Cloud State, 16th ranked in the country. In the icebreaker, they beat Air Force, and then they lose to Omaha. So were you in Vegas?
Yes.
Damn, how long were you in Vegas?
Just a short trip. There with the team for the 2 games and back.
Sweet.
So we took a charter after the game home on Saturday after the game, and. Yeah, so we were there for, 3 days, 4 days, something like that.
Yeah, and now Sandlin's team, the 18th and the 19th, so Friday and Saturday, and those are at Duluth. What kind of team does Scott have this year?
I really like what he's put together. It's going to take a little time because he's got some younger forwards who are extremely good. And so I think he's going to have a team that has more scoring this year. And I think that will evolve as we get to November, December. It's going to take, guys time to get acclimated. But I picked them, to finish in the top 3 in the NCHC this year. I hope I'm correct, but it's going to be a little bit different team than he's had in the past couple because, he's got some firepower up front. I think it'll be a good series. Always is when you go to Duluth.
Appreciate you, Patrick. Let's do it more frequently, all right?
Sounds great. Take care. Thank you.
Yep. See you, my brother. That's Pat Micheletti. He's a Hockey Immortality 4. He's on the mural at Mariucci. Go watch a Gophers hockey game. Look at the mural with Gophers greats. And there is our guy,
Mick Tockett.
on the fan. Hey, you're howling with the homies, co-host Parker Fox. Super responsible, efficient kid, young adult. Always gets here early. But he came in all fired up today and hugged me from behind and then had me coerce me into doing some celebratory dance. Well, now I'm tired. So you're gonna need to talk for about the next 7 or 8 minutes. You in?
I'm in. I'm down.
Howling with the homies on KFAN.
And I bet one of the reasons that he's fired up, PA, is after that Wolves game yesterday. I mean, Wolves lost in preseason action, their first loss of the preseason thus far. Anthony Edwards led the way with 31 points, a 31 that included 8 3-pointers, by the way. He was shooting the lights out from behind the arc. But the real story of the game is what happened afterwards as brand new Timberwolf Dante DiVincenzo got into a heated argument with Jalen Brunson's father, Rick Brunson.
Oh, wow, he did?
Oh, yeah.
I know about the Tibbs stuff from the foul line, yelling over there thank you for trading me. That's what you get when you run the team. I didn't know. Okay, 3-2.
Yeah, they had to be separated, PA, after the game. It was it reminded me of the last day of school when there's a bunch of people that are just hey, I'm gonna miss you, man. I'm gonna miss you. And then there's that one kid that's I'm gonna go fight the teacher.
Yeah.
yeah.
DiVincenzo refused to sign his yearbook. Rick got frustrated, so then they tried to go at each other in the quad. Now, wait, Rick is an assistant for Tibbs, right?
Yeah, yep.
Okay, so keep going.
Yeah,
this is juicy.
Yeah, they had to be separated. Nobody really elaborated on what exactly was said, but as you alluded to, DiVincenzo was jawing at the Knicks sidelines earlier in the game from the free throw line as well. He claims that it started off initially as an inside joke that he was sharing with Tibbs, but I have my doubts and suspicions about that. Yeah, but yeah, he had to be separated from Rick Brunson. It got pretty heated there towards the end of the game.
And Jalen's coming off the best season of his life. He's really, really taken a positive step. All right, well, let's howl with the homies on that topic around the corner after Max's musings, which would be News du Nord or Sports Essentials, and our sports update, where in Amsterdam it's 69 and smoky.
It's Wintersville here in Minnesota. All we do is win, and the Gophers got themselves another win. They came back to win their first game at the Rose Bowl since 1962. Beating UCLA 21-17. Max Brosmer found Darius Taylor for a TD with 27 seconds left in the game, leading the Gophers on a game-winning drive for the second straight game. The Gophers improved to 4-3, and let's see, this week they are up against Maryland.
All right. No, not this week. They're off.
Oh, they're off. Yeah, next game.
Yep. That's why.
Week.
That's why no PJ today because of the bye week. Then they hooked the Terps. Good thing we have somebody who attends the University of Minnesota and plays on the basketball team, which means he watches the football games because he knows some of the players on the team. You are a sports savant. You watch it all. I was out of pocket on Saturday. I did not get a chance to watch a game that I really wanted to watch. I've been to the Rose Bowl a million times. It's in the Arroyo Seco, adjacent to Pasadena. It's probably a dump because it's so old, but it's football immortality. And I'm assuming the Bruins wore their baby blues. Did they wear their baby blues?
I don't know if they did.
Oh, great. I got nobody in this room who watched that. They're really relying on the kids to watch the game.
They had the blue on. It wasn't necessarily baby blue.
Okay. Did PJ's team go with all white?
Yep.
Yes,
okay.
I did. Yes.
Yeah. Then the baby blues with the gold is college football immortality. I'm glad we got the money off the victory against USC when P-Fox was storming the field with tens of thousands of other hyperactive kids who attend the U. That's all I got until 11:03, and we all get into these box scores.
The Dodgers lead the NLCS 1-0 after destroying the Mets 9-rip yesterday in the NLCS opener. Jack Flaherty combined with a couple of other pitchers for a 3-hitter, and now the Los Angeles Dodgers have now pitched 33 consecutive scoreless innings, which ties a Major League Baseball record. Shohei Ohtani had an RBI. Mookie Betts knocked in a couple as well. But the Dodgers off to a great start, and they'll be back at it again today. Knocked Kodai Senga, the Mets star pitcher, out of the game in the second inning.
Is he their star?
Him and Sean Manaea, yeah.
Well, they got Manaea going
for
today.
A long time.
Yeah, Senga was diseased early. I mean, I know that lineup, Ohtani into Betts, into Freddie Freeman, and Chavez Ravine, Dodger Stadium. It's such an old school ballpark that the stands are right up on you, man. Especially when you watch it from like the center field camera with the fans and what would be like the Champions Club, and it was loud last night. I mean, sometimes it takes an LA fan base a little while to get going. They were on their feet when Shohei walked up to the plate, and then Senga got a ground ball from him, but then it just went pear-shaped after that. Senga, I didn't realize Senga was considered like that's their best pitcher.
He's part of their whole rotation is just kind of like a star rotation. That's been one of the strengths of that Mets team throughout the year, and they knocked it. He was wild. Yes. He did not have his best stuff yesterday.
Well, with the Dodgers, Max, it's just they're just a week removed from, I think San Diego scored like 8 on them.
Yeah.
So, I mean, you're telling me 33 consecutive MLB record, not allowing any runs. And so now they have a no-namer pitching tonight. So they went with Flaherty in game 1, and they got a guy who pitched, I think, late in the season. He's a youngster. If that sucker continues tonight, and the Mets go punchless into the afternoon or into the night, wow, man, this sucker might be a sweep.
It might be a sweep, yeah. It's looking like it's going to be a bullpen game for them, so probably a combination of a bunch of different pitchers. But they did that same thing last week in a do-or-die game against the Padres, and 8 different pitchers combined to shut the Padres out. So just really impressive stuff from the LA Dodgers, PA. And an NFC North roundup. All 3 of the NFC North teams in action yesterday got a W, starting off early in the morning over in London town with the Chicago Bears beating the Jacksonville Jaguars 35-16. Caleb Williams with, at least on paper, perhaps his best game yet, 23 for 29, 226 yards plus 4 TDs and only 1 turnover, which really, it was... it's a cliche, but it's best classified as a rookie mistake. He just floated it way too high, completely missed. Could have had 5 touchdowns and 0 interceptions. So rookie mistake. But I thought I haven't been watching every single down of every single Chicago Bears game, but really impressive stuff from Caleb Williams, it's a night and day difference from yesterday's game compared to week 1.
Yeah, the game got away from Jacksonville, and Caleb really, really found his feet with confidence. And you can tell that when things are going his way, and he's in control, that he's going to be very difficult to beat. Now, I gotta watch it back, and I guess I will into the first Vikings Bears game. I don't have time this week with the Lions, the Kitties. Is a big game this week. Caleb, for my taste, in my estimation, he still looks to run before he looks to pass.
Yeah.
And I think that's something that just I didn't see in the preseason, and something through which they're going to have to work. See, that's what I like so much about Jaden Daniels, is he will run with those big, beautiful, long strides, but he's always looking to pass. He's always looking to get that ball down the field and to dagger you. I just, because I don't watch a lot of college football, I had no idea how good Jaden Daniels was. I mean, and how he would just fit into what they're doing with those running backs and McLaurin and everything. Williams is good, and Williams is getting better. Our big horse is still in the barn, so we will, determine if these ballyhooed 6, which ones were the right ones and why, after they all get 25 under their belts. But Caleb, he took a step yesterday. I still think he looks to run before he passes.
Yeah, Jaden Daniels, speaking of him, was absolutely incredible yesterday. I mean, what more can you say about the kid? I can't recall in my lifetime a rookie QB coming into the NFL and having this much of a handle of the little things. He's not making those type of rookie mistakes in the same manner that a Drake May is or that a Caleb Williams is. And hung around with, I would argue, for my money, probably the best team in the NFL right now, not named the Minnesota Vikings. Washington Commanders fell short 30-23 against the Baltimore Ravens. Jaden Daniels finished 24 of 35 for 269 and 2 TDs in a duel with Lamar Jackson, who was 20 of 26 for 323, a touchdown and an interception. So probably maybe the two lead candidates for offensive MVP right now dueling out against each other.
Yeah, Lamar's always going to be in that conversation. For Jaden, it would be Offensive Rookie of the Year, and he's prohibitively favored right now. Let's discuss football topics and much more with our main man, Parker Fox. He's a power forward for Ben Johnson's Golden Gophers basketball team. He's also the co-host of Howlin' with the Homies, which is the Timberwolves fan line show hosted by Maxwell Fuller. And we'll do all that around the corner at FM 100.3 KFAN.